Hi guys, I'm Alex and welcome to SMU Campus Radio and welcome to the first ever episode of Around the World in 80 Hours. And today we have two guests from the Center for Social Responsibility. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi Alex, I'm Devi. I'm the head of SMU's Center for Social Responsibility, C4SR for short.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Pam, also from Center for Social Responsibility.
So, can you tell us more about what Center for Social Responsibility does for the SMU community?
Our center actually manages the community service graduation requirement. So we help students who are doing various community service projects. So we help guide them in the implementation of their projects. We share with them best practices in the sector. For those who do not know how to go about starting their community service, we are actually there for them. We introduce them to various social causes, various non-profit organizations, do the necessary link up. That's about it.
Well, I would say that at least for us, we came from the sector as well. So we are quite familiar with the sector that the students will be volunteering in. So we come with experience and some insights that we are more than happy to share with you.
Wow, thank you. So, knowing about your purpose as for the SMU community, what do you think is the essence of this 80-hour community service requirement?
Yeah, so as you know, 80 hours is a graduation requirement.
Yes.
So we tell our students, the university is quite strict about it. If you don't finish it, you can't graduate.
Sad.
But I would say take it as a wonderful opportunity for you to learn about something that you may not have a chance to be exposed to. Not every student gets an opportunity to go into co-curricular activities, for example. But because this is a graduation requirement, you can take the chance to further your interest in something. For example, if you're very, very passionate about environment, for example, so through this community service requirement, you can initiate projects that deal with environmental sustainability. You can take this opportunity to learn new skills. Right? Some of our students may want to find out more about how to work with the elderly because maybe they have elderly grandparents at home. I have a student who told me her grandparent has dementia. So because of that, she got involved in a community service project that has dementia as a social cause. So because of the project, she picked up more information and knowledge about dementia. She learned how to engage her grandmother better. Right, because of this particular project. So basically, we have this 80 hours because we want to make sure that the SMU graduate has a holistic development. So it's not just about academic, but you're also exposed to social issues out there which help you. Which will definitely help you, whether is it in terms of your career. It will also help you in your personal lives. Let's say, as I mentioned, if you have grandparents or you have family members, who may need certain assistance. But because of community service, you're now more exposed to certain areas. So you can use all these skills that you have picked up to help you in your day-to-day lives. Right?
Even, just yesterday we went to visit some projects and some of the SMU students that we spoke to actually shared with us that they deliberately picked this community service because they have never been a lot of exposure to interacting with people with certain disabilities. So they've made a very conscious decision to join this project so that they learn about the social cause. So there you go.
I actually relate to what you told me, the student has a grandparent at home, because back in the Philippines, I have a grandparent and he had a stroke. So I joined Red Cross and then I was assigned to the elderly and, I got to take care of them, teach them how to do basic first aid, even though I suck at science. But you know what? I was how do you wrap a bandage properly? So it actually not only helped them, but it helped me as well, because I'm even though in my 19 years of existence, wrapping a bandage is just like this, who knew? And also this new experience as well, exposure, I think that's very important, because I know some people who are not in any CCAs. So joining these types of programs, especially that that will benefit others as well, and not only them but you you as a person, like it will help you grow into an individual and have these skills, then I think it's really like important to see, like, I hope some of the students will see the importance of this community service and not just see it as a requirement to graduate, but see it as something that, like as a human being to get to experience these types of things and have another perspective. I think that's really good.
Up very well. You can be the spokesperson for C4SR.
Watch me. Hi, Red Cross. So, there are two types of CSPRs that can be done, right? So for local and overseas CSP. So why do you think that it's important to have these, a local and overseas CSP?
We actually give students a lot of options. They can come together as a group and do community service, or they can do something on an individual basis. Some students may be very active volunteers out there, and moving forward, they want to record this towards their graduation requirement. We are quite flexible about it. We also give students the opportunity to start their own projects, whether is it in Singapore or overseas. And as you pointed out, we also give students the opportunity to volunteer in Singapore or overseas, right? I think each project has, different platforms have different benefits, right? So if you're talking about overseas, of course, it exposes you to certain issues that you may not get the chance to find out about in Singapore itself, right? Whereas if you volunteer in Singapore, then you get an opportunity to volunteer maybe on a more regular basis. Because for overseas, you can only do so during your term break, right? Whereas if you're in Singapore, we have students who are volunteering throughout their curriculum time. They go once a week to tutor a child, for example. So it's not, the opportunities are not just limited during your holidays, right? So, yeah.
I would say that for a lot of international students, this community service component is an opportunity for them to find out about the real Singapore. Right? Because maybe it's the first time they have stepped foot into Singapore, thinking that Singapore is all perfect and beautiful and clean and green, but it's not. There's a lot of hidden gems, as well as hidden issues that are not right smack in your face. But through community service, you might be able to get a closer look at what Singapore actually is like. Yeah.
So I would encourage students to come and see us, right? As I say, we are very, very open. If you have some very exciting ideas, and you want to start a new project, we're actually quite open to it. We have students who have done very, very interesting projects, like Pam, for example. She is the project manager for a project that uses bicycle to reach out to the community. So they are looking into accessibility to school and education in a community in Philippines, actually, right?
Which part of the Philippines? Bohol. Oh, that's far from where I live.
So that I would say is a project initiated by students. We have projects in Singapore. Like I have a group of IS students, SIS students, who have actually initiated a project to do coding. They reach out to a secondary school quite near SMU. They reach out to the underprivileged youth and they teach them coding. Right? So, and this was also another project that was entirely initiated by students. So if anybody has fantastic ideas out there, come and see us. We're very, very open.
That's good. Also, I would like to share like an experience when I went back to the Philippines just recently. So, I'm sure you've heard of Smile Manila or Smile Manila. So there was this organization there. I'm not quite sure if I'm allowed to share which organization, but they know SMU and they said, oh, they went to visit us. And because I was wearing an SMU shirt that time, then I visited there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, seeing how it like these community service impact like their lives. They said like they were really nice. They're you can really say it's called Singlish, right? Like I was laughing because at least like these kids like really saw like, you know what? Do you know these people? We just want to say hi and thank you to them. I felt so bad because like, oh, I don't know them. I've never heard of them in my entire life. But seeing like the impact they made in their lives for a short period of time really sees that there's an importance in joining these types of CSPs, guys. So you better join now. Okay, so were there any feedbacks from the students that like they question you guys like, why do we need to do this? Why is it compulsory? It loses its essence as like helping people, like because it serves as like a compulsory thing to graduate. So maybe they're just, okay, I'm just doing this to graduate, that type of mindset. Maybe there are some out there that has that type of mindset. And what can you say about those types of?
You're right. There are some students who will come to us and share with us, like, is there a need to make community service compulsory? So what we share with them is not everyone has that opportunity to be actively volunteering. I mean, our students also have a lot of things on their plate, a lot of commitments. So if, let's say, we do not make it compulsory, many may not get the chance to actually go out and volunteer, right? So I would say this is creating an opportunity for them to do something that they may not ordinarily do so, right? So now, how do you get meaning out of it? Yes, it's compulsory, but then after that, it's entirely left to you. We leave it to you to decide whether you want to volunteer on an individual basis, on a group basis, whether you want to go overseas, whether you want to do it in Singapore, whether you want to start your own project. We even give that to you. So if you go out there and find something that really speaks to you, like, for example, you're, very passionate about Red Cross, right? But let's say, if you find something, a social cause that really resonates with you, maybe you like working with children and you go out there and volunteer with children, then you will definitely find meaning for it. So use this graduation requirement as a starting platform. Right? The 80 hours is just a guide, a minimum that we need you to do. But there's no stopping you. If you, once you start and you find something that is so interesting, so meaningful, you really find that you're able to contribute, then there's no stopping you. You can continue to volunteer. We have graduates who have completed like more than 800 hours, right? Because they really started out with something that is compulsory, but then they, as I said, they find meaning in it. And then they just cannot stop volunteering, right? They continue and continue until we tell them, hey, hold on, you also have other requirements that you have to meet. So you take a step back, As I said, there are many opportunities for you, right? So, yeah.
I would say, we also need a lot of student leaders. So if you're already well versed in a social cause and you would like more people to know about that social cause, then why not come as student leaders, start or initiate a project to get your fellow peers involved in the same social cause. And we are here to support. Like we've shared, we are very into the concept of service learning, as well as making sure that the project is sustainable. So even if you have a very sketchy idea, you're not sure how you can go about doing it, we are here to bounce ideas with you and make it more feasible and more doable within a certain timeline.
Thank you so much. So let's go into like the fun part of this conversation. So were there any like weird requests from students, like weird ideas that you received, like, oh, I want to do this, and maybe like what's going on, like it made you question somehow what's going on in their mind?
I really wouldn't say I'm weird. I think maybe sometimes when we have to say no, there are reasons. Like, for example, when you go overseas, safety is a important priority, a very, very critical part that we have to look at. So sometimes students want to go into exotic areas where maybe the facilities are not there, the environment is not conducive. If something were to happen, how do we make sure that our students are, brought back to Singapore and all that, right? So those are things that we have to look at. We also look at sustainability. Sustainability is something that C4SR places quite a bit of emphasis. And by sustainability, we mean that when you go to do any project, you must look at how do you empower them? How do you build capacity in the community? And sustainability is even more important when you go overseas, because overseas you're there only for 2 weeks, right? Once a year, our student teams go to that particular community, 2 weeks, right? But what happens to the community after you leave, right? So you must look into a project scope that helps to ensure the community can keep on going even after you come back, right? So yeah, I would say I haven't received anything particularly weird other than this, right? But Pam, do you have anything weird?
No, not really. Not that I could think of. Well, more like most of the time, students come with a very basic idea of what they want to do, but never really thought through from step A to all the way to Z. So they've only started with the initial idea of, say, I want to give a goodie bag. But what's next? They've never thought of it, for an example. So, like I said, we are very open, so no idea is crazy to us. We are more than willing to hear from you guys. And yeah, maybe we can recreate it into something that we can say yes.
But could I share that maybe instead of weird, I would say students have come to us with very interesting social causes that maybe we have not thought about. We had a student who was a very active volunteer with Action for AIDS. So he was so interested in that cause that he even took on the relevant training and he became a counselor, for youth who have been diagnosed with AIDS or HIV, right? We had another student who was volunteering in a hospice, right, where she works with terminally ill patients. And the partner organization actually shared with us that she's even more mature and strong, this particular SMU student, as compared to even adults who may find this particular social issue very challenging, because as I said, they are terminally ill patients, right? So we have students like that who come to us, and because of them, we got to know about it, and then we share with other students, hey, these are other possible areas that you can volunteer with. There are the usual social causes like working with children, working with the elderly, right? But there are many more out there, like working with, maybe among the elderly, a particular health issue. We have a group of students who are working, I think I mentioned earlier, working with dementia, elderly who may be prone to getting dementia. So how can we go about helping to address that? We have a group of students who are working with single mothers and helping them with home-based businesses, helping them to create this into an income-generating platform. We have quite a number of students who work with special needs, right? And then we have students, I mentioned earlier, working with environmental sustainability. We have 2 student groups who are working on food wastage projects, right? And they shared with us now they are so passionate about food wastage that their parents are a bit wary now. Like when they cook at home, they make sure there's no food wastage because the student will go and say, how come you're wasting food and all that.
The passion, really...
So I would say many social causes out there. So if students don't have any idea where to go or, they want to do something interesting, then come and see us. Because we meet up with a lot of non-profit organizations who share with us their needs. So there are many possibilities out there.
So guys, they're encouraging you to go visit their office for any creative ideas that you have and also which type of CSP that you want to join in the future. So go check them out. So have you received any inspiring stories from the students? Have they ever shared to you guys what they got from this ADR community service? And what do you think is the most memorable thing that any student shared with you guys?
I think one... some have shared that this has actually influenced their career choice, right? They may not have thought about going into a social organization or a non-profit organization, but I've met students who have gone into social service because of their exposure. For example, I have a group of alumni who are now working with Save the Children. It's an international NGO and a bunch of them. So it's because of their exposure to overseas community service that they decided to go into this particular area. We have heard of students who have gone on to start their own social enterprises or their own non-profit organizations. I mean, if you have heard of Freedom Cups, that is actually started by our alumni. If you have heard of Backstreet Academy, that is looking at tourism with a social cause, with sustainable tourism, that is also started by our alumni Jamin Mock, right?
Wow.
So there are many interesting stories out there. There are also students who share how it has helped them in their personal lives, right? Yeah.
Wow.
Any stories?
Too many. But where possible, we do highlight it, and there's already quite a number of stories on the SMU blog, so go read it up. There's quite a few out there already.
Okay, so that has come to the end of our interview. And before we end this video, why don't you encourage the students to join the CSPRs and just encourage the students as to go to your office, visit them, guys. Come on.
Yes, I would say there are many projects organized by your fellow SMU students, so you can keep a lookout for the emailers from C4SR. But let's say if none of that excites some of you, then come to us. Come up with some interesting ideas. What we ask for is identify that particular social cause that you want to champion. Second, be prepared to do it on a bit more sustainable basis, because one-off projects are not really beneficial to the community that you're helping. So as long as you're able to do this on a bit more regular, sustained basis, we are quite happy to explore. Drop us an email, right? Because sometimes you're not in the office because you're out there, working with so many student projects. Or if not, if you wish to, just drop by. We are located at the Office of Dean of Students, which is just opposite Kofu, the food court.
And we will also link on our description box their website, so you guys can go check it out. So once again, I'm Alex, and this has been SMU Broadcast and Entertainment.
Hit like and subscribe to our channel, SMU Broadcast and Entertainment, and we will see you soon.